أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدم. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد. Few questions from the last lesson. What is the difference between al-qada and al-futya or al-ifta? What is the difference between al-qada and ifta? We mentioned about 5 or 6, 2 from the brothers and 2 from the sisters. Mubarak. Qada is lazim, meaning qada is binding. So if 2 people go to the qadi, the judge, and he gives a ruling, that ruling becomes binding. Fatwa is the ijtihad of the mufti, so is the qadi. Yeah, so it's not binding. So when you mention something, you mention its complete opposite, which means it is not binding. Yeah. The qadi, when the judge gives a ruling, you can't apply that ruling to other people. So that ruling that the qadi gives is specifically for the person who he has given the ruling to. So you can't apply one size fits all. And the reason is because every situation, every scenario is different. Every situation, every scenario is different. Sisters, two more. Sorry, a qadi? A qadi, na'am, a qadi can't give a ruling to his family, his usul and the furu'. His usul and the furu', the reason being because there's a tuhma, there's a doubt or suspicion there. Na'am. Another one? Okay, so that the fatwa can be applied everywhere, or other people can apply that fatwa. Like in the qadi's fatwa, the qadi's ruling can only be applied by those people who are given the ruling. What else? طيب. We studied the conditions for a mujtahid. We said that the scholars mentioned, the fuqaha mentioned that the qadi must be a mujtahid. And we said that varies, and there are many scholars that say it doesn't have to be a mujtahid mutlaq, a total mujtahid. But there are some conditions that they lay out and they mention that the mujtahid, the qadi needs to have. What are they? He has to know nasikh wal mansukh. He has to know the evidences that abrogated other evidences, or the evidences that have been abrogated, and what abrogated them. Now, he has to know the authenticity or the weakness of certain ahadith. Now, he needs to know the ayat, at the very least, the verses, ayatul ahkam, verses that deal with the rulings of the sharia. Sisters, the conditions of the mujtahid. Naam, he must what? Naam, he must know where the scholars have difference of opinion. On the opposite side, he must know where they have ijma'. Because if a person knows the ijma' of the scholars, he won't go against that ijma'. And if a alim goes against the ijma', that's not acceptable. If a alim goes against an ijma', that is not acceptable. It is incorrect. طيب, what else? Naam, he needs to be well grounded in the Lugha al-Arabiya. طيب, we said that there are 4 ways in which the qada can be given to a person. 2 from the brothers and 2 from the sisters. 4 ways in which, meaning what the qadi is in charge of. You were late, as a punishment, you're not going to answer the question. Two from the sisters first. The question is, last week we said that when a person is given a ruling, when the imam chooses a qadi, he tells that qadi what he's in charge of. And we mentioned there are 4 ways that this can happen. What are these 4 ways? Mention 2. Okay, so that's one of them, where he's specific place, Makkah for example, and a specific mas'ala, for example, al-buyu'. You're only to do qada in buyu' and only in Makkah. طيب, another one? Huh? I can't hear you. Unspecific, okay, that's unspecific what? The land where he is or the ruling? In both? The place? Okay, so unspecific place. So, for example, the qadi says to him, you can, wherever you are, whether you're in Makkah, Riyadh, Medina, you're the qadi of what? Of any mas'ala? Of a specific mas'ala. That's one way. So you can be the qadi of this specific mas'ala wherever you are, like him. What else are there? General ruling of all mas'alas, you can do qada of anything in all lands. So you can talk about anything, you can give qada, judgment in anything wherever you are. طيب. And the other one is to a specific place. طيب. Then the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, الدعاوى وقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم البينة على المدعي واليمين على من أنكر وقال أقضي على نحو ما أسمع. طيب. So here the Shaykh rahimahullah, he's going to talk about claims, when people make a claim. And he said, sallallahu alayhi, he said, the Shaykh said, rahimahullah, al-bayyinatu ala al-mudda'i. The evidence is ala al-mudda'i. The evidence is upon the one that is making a claim. Wal-yaminu, and the oath is upon the one that is denying that, the defendant. So there are 2 things that we need to know here. Al-mudda'i wal-mudda'a alayhi. Al-mudda'i, he's the claimant. Wal-mudda'a alayhi, he's the defendant. He's the one that's defending himself. Al-mudda'i, he's the one that is claiming something. So the mudda'i will say, Abdillah has taken, or he owes me £50,000. And the mudda'a alayhi is Mubarak, and he's the one that owes Abdullah 50,000. So the Shaykh is saying, rahimahullah, that the clarity or the evidence is upon the one that is making the claim. The one that is making the claim. And knowing the difference between who makes the claim, who is the mudda'i, and the mudda'a alayhi, is the very first thing that the qadi needs to do. The first role of the qadi is that he needs to know and differentiate between the 2 people in front of him. Who is the qadi, who is the mudda'i, the claimant, the one that is claiming a certain right. And the other one is al-mudda'a alayhi, the one who is being sued, in other words. The one who the claim is being made against. So the fuqaha, rahimahumullah, they mention tawabid in how the qadi can know. They mention tawabid, or certain principles in which the qadi can know who the claimant is and who the defendant is. The first is that the mudda'i, the one that is making the claim, he is the one. So al-mudda'i huwa man yukhalifu qawluhu al-zahira. The mudda'i, the one that is making the claim, is the one whose statement opposes that which is apparent. And obviously the mudda'a alayhi will be the one whose statement is in accordance with the outward understanding or the outward appearance, what we can see outwardly. For example, Muhammad has a car. Muhammad has a car. And he's been driving that car for a year. He's got the keys to the car and all of his stuff is in the car. He's the one that drives that car around. Muhammad is. And then Ali comes around and says, that is my car, he stole it from me. Ali comes and says, Muhammad has stolen my car from me. That car that he has is my car. طيب. The first definition that you wrote, the mudda'i, he is the one, من يخالف قوله الظاهر. His statement opposes, his claim opposes that which is apparent to us. With Muhammad and Ali, who has the car apparently? Who can we see has the car? Muhammad has the car. So the zahir, what we can see, is that Muhammad has the car. And Ali is claiming something which opposes the zahir, the apparent meaning, what we can see outwardly. So now Ali is the mudda'i. And the mudda'a alayhi, the one that is being sued, the defendant is who? Muhammad. The one that is suing is who? Ali. And the one that is being sued is who? Muhammad. That is one way of looking at it. The next way that the scholars say that you can know the difference between the two is man idha sakata turik. That the mudda'i, the one that makes the claim, is the one that man idha sakata, whoever idha sakata, if he's quiet, turik, he's left alone. والمدعى عليه من لا يترك إذا سكت. والمدعى عليه من لا يترك إذا سكت. So the mudda'i, the claimant, the one that is making the claim, is the one that من إذا سكت ترك. In that example that we had now, Ali says, that car that Muhammad is driving is mine. Ali is saying, I want my car from him. How do we know Ali is the claimant here? لأنه إذا سكت, if he's quiet, خلاص, the case is over. That's how we know he's the claimant. Because we know that if Ali carries that claim and says, listen, I want my car, but if he says, you know what, خلاص, I'll leave you for the sake of Allah, he's the mudda'i, because by him leaving the case off and going away, the case has what? Been dissolved. صح? طيب. Lakin the mudda'a alayhi is the one that even if he's quiet and he wants to dissolve the matter, the qadiyya, it won't work. He won't be left alone. So Ali says, listen, I want my car back. Muhammad cannot now say, khalas, I leave the case alone to you. Khalas, I'm not gonna take you to court. He can't say to Ali, I'm gonna take you to court. Why? He's the one that is being sued. He's the mudda'a alayhi. He's the mudda'a alayhi. He's the one that is being sued. And even if he says, you know what, I don't want to take any part of this, the judge is going to rule against him. Is that understood? Right. So how do the fuqaha mention that you can differentiate between the claimant and the defendant? They mention two ways. I want the brothers to mention one way and the sisters to mention one way. Huh? No, I didn't mention four. It's two, and I only defined each one. Faddal.
The claimant is the one that when he's making a statement, it opposes that which is apparent.
Excellent. So that's the first one. And if his statement opposes the apparent one, who's the defendant in your case?
The defendant is the one whose statement
Is in line with what is apparent. So for example, the example that we had now, Ali says, I have Muhammad's car is mine. He has claimed something which contradicts the apparent, what we can see, the apparent, what is apparent to us. So he's the claimant, he's the mudda'i. And the mudda'a alayhi, who's Muhammad's only claiming what is the norm. It's my car. I've been driving it for a year. I've got all my stuff in it. Everyone knows it's mine. People have seen me with it. The second way of differentiating between the mudda'i and the mudda'a alayhi, sisters? Now, if the claimant is silent, the claimant is the one who, if he is silent, then the case is dropped. So Ali now, in our example, Ali can say, khalas, you know what? Forget all of this. I can't be bothered with this. If Ali says that, khalas, Muhammad's not exactly going to say, la, no, Ali, come back, sue me. He's not. So it's case over. And Ali is, and then who's the defendant in that case? Complete it. You said that whoever is silent, then the case is dropped. And the defendant is the? Now, if he's silent, it is not dropped. If he is silent, he is not dropped. And that is the most important, one of the most important masail, and the first mas'ala that the judge needs to know. Why does he need to know who's the claimant and who's the one who's the defendant? Because he needs to know who he needs to ask evidence for. So in this hadith, the Messenger says, Al-bayyinatu al-mudda'i, the evidence is upon who? The claimant. So I need to know who I'm going to ask evidence. I'm going to ask who I'm going to ask to provide evidence. طيب. Also, another masala that is talked about often here with regards to the qadi is that they say the qa'idah, al-ibratu bi'tiqadi al-qadi ظاهرا وباطنا. العبرة باعتبار القاضي باعتقاد القاضي العبرة باعتقاد القاضي ظاهرا وباطنا. And this simply means that what is taken into consideration is the belief of the judge. Whatever the judge believes in, inwardly and outwardly, that is what is given concentration. That is what is given a consideration. Surah Al-Mas'ala, a person who is a Hanafi wants to get married to a woman, and he goes to a qadi who is a Shafi'i. The qadi is a Shafi'i. The madhab of the Hanafiya is that the woman that is over 18 can marry herself off. Obviously, there are conditions later on for the father if he's not pleased, but that's in the madhab. Also, the madhab of the Shafi'iyya is that, and the Jumhur, is that the woman cannot get married on her own. The woman needs a guardian to marry her off. Is that understood? Right. So if a Hanafi person comes to a qadi who is a Shafi'i, that Shafi'i qadi is going to say to him, where is the what? Where is the wali of this woman? That Shafi'i can't say, listen, since you're Hanafi, khalas, I'll judge you based on your madhab. I'll judge you based on your madhab. And that person, the man that wants to get married, he can't say, listen, it's nothing to do with you what your madhab is. I don't care about your madhab. Give me the ruling on my madhab. Give me the ruling on my madhab. And that is another, that leads us to another qa'idah, which is حكم القاضي يرفع الخلاف. حكم القاضي يرفع الخلاف. حكم القاضي يرفع الخلاف. For example, this mas'ala that we were talking about, there's a difference of opinion between the majority of the scholars from all of the three madhabs, the Hanabila, the Shafi'iyya and the Malikiyya. The difference between them and the Hanafiyya. The Hanafiyya say, la, it's fine. The woman gets married. طيب, in this mas'ala, there's a khilaf, right? But the ruling of the qadi, يرفع هذا الخلاف. It gets rid of that khilaf. It gets rid of that khilaf. طيب. Then the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, وقال, and the Messenger said, أقضي على نحو ما أسمع. I rule and I give the judgment based on that which I hear. Based on that which I hear. So here we see two things. First and foremost, the judge has to be fair. The qadi must be fair. and he bases his judgment on what he hears. He bases his judgment on what he hears. Therefore, now that he knows who the mudda'i and the mudda'a alayhi is, he listens to both. And the mudda'i gives him his case, presents his case, and then the mudda'a alayhi is asked, do you agree with him? Do you acknowledge? Do you disagree? Then the qadi asks the mudda'i for the bayyinah, evidence. He asks him for the evidence. So this judge, the judge, he can only judge the case based on what he hears. Is that understood, first and foremost? The second issue is, or the second mas'ala is, if, having said that the judge will only give the hukum according to what he believes in, or what he hears, what he hears. It can happen that the judge gives the right to what? It gives the person who is in the wrong, he can give him the ruling. And the one that is being oppressed, it is possible that the judge doesn't give him the ruling that his haqq, he doesn't give him his right. Because sometimes the mudda'i could be a liar, kadhab. Lakin he's eloquent in his speech. And he can bring fake witnesses and forged papers and so on. And the miskeen, the one that is the defendant, he might not have any of this. And maybe he starts to panic. Lakin even though if he starts to panic, as we shall see towards the end of the bab, that does not make that right halal. That is why the fuqaha, they say, حُكْمُ الْقَاضِ لَا يُحَلِّلُ الْحَرَامَ وَلَا يُحَرِّمُ الْحَلَالَ. حُكْمُ الْقَاضِ, the ruling of the qadi, it does not make something that is haram halal. It does not make something which is haram halal. Nor does it make something which is halal haram. طيب. The third mas'ala, note that the Messenger ﷺ said, أَقْضِ عَلَى نَحْوِ مَا أَسْمَعُ. I judge according to that which I hear. What does that exclude? Can anyone tell me what that excludes? What he sees? Okay. Mumkin. What he's told by others? Okay. Huh? What he reads? Okay, fair enough. What else? Sisters? Huh? What someone writes? Okay. Excellent. That's the masala I wanted. What he already knows from before. All of the things that you mentioned come under. Now, all of the things that you mentioned come under what he knows already. Afwan, all of the things that you mentioned come under asma, what I hear. Whether he reads it or he hears it or he sees it. What was your kunya? The student answered that? Inshallah, I'll give you marks during the exam. This is a mas'ala known as, the mas'ala is entitled هل يحكم القاضي بعلمه هل يحكم القاضي بعلمه. Does the judge give a ruling according to his knowledge or that which he knows? Surah al-Mas'ala. A judge, on his way to the mahkamah in the morning, on his way to work, he comes across two people on the side of the road. And they were buying and selling a car. One was buying the car, one was selling the car. One of them sells the car to the other one. And the sheikh is in traffic, he can see that they're buying and he can hear what they're saying. And he knows that obviously they bought, there's the money, there's the car, he sees everything being exchanged. 4 hours later, or maybe the next day, those two same people come to him. The one that bought the car the one that bought the car, is being accused of stealing the car. The one who bought the car is being accused of stealing the car. So the person that sold the car is saying that he stole my car. Is that understood? So the Qadi, on his way to work yesterday, he saw two people and he heard two people selling a car to one another. Right? And he was the only one, obviously, that witnessed it. He was the only one that witnessed that they were buying a car and selling a car. The next day, those same two people come to him and say, listen, the one that sold the car yesterday comes to him and says, he stole my car. What does the Qadi know here? The Qadi knows he did not steal it. So the Qadi knows he did not steal it. And he knows that he bought the car from this person. Is he allowed to give the ruling? What does the Qadi do here? Disregard what the case? Disregard what he saw. Okay, and judge on what he sees now. Okay. Even though the one that is claimed, the one that sold the car yesterday, he's got fake proof, or he conned the other guy yesterday and he gave him fake papers, fake registration plate on the car. Okay, he should keep investigating. What he knows. Okay. Al-bayinatu ala al-mudda'i. So the one that is claiming that he stole the car from him, so the one that is claiming that he stole the car from him, he's got a logbook, he's got his logbook, or he's got the car's keys. Khalas. Sisters, what do you think? He takes it as a new case. He's not a witness. Abdullah, sir. You got half the question, but let's go. He doesn't give the hukum on what he knows. Khalas. Whatever he knows, he can't give a hukum on. But there's also a qa'idah أنه لا يحكم بخلاف علمه. لا يحكم بخلاف علمه. He can't give a judgment here. And that is bil ijma'. He can't give a judgment here in any case. Why? Because he knows that this is incorrect. لا يحكم بخلاف علمه. He can't give a judgment based on something that he knows is incorrect. He can't give a judgment on something that he knows is incorrect. Meaning he can't say, well, you've got good bayina, take your car, you stop stealing cars. Can't say that. However, at the same time, he can't say, listen, I don't care about your bayina. Yesterday I saw you selling that car. So he took the car, he gave you your money, stop lying, go back. He can't do that. What does he do? He gives the case to another qadi. He gives the case to another qadi. Why do the fuqaha say, لا يحكم بعلمه? Why do they say it is not permissible to give the judgment on something that he knows? لا يحكم بعلمه. It could be shahadatu zur. Like it leads to a lot of fasad. If this was the time of the companions, ridwanullahi alayhim, we could say, sahih, the qadi gives a ruling based on what he knows. يحكم بعلمه. Why? Because we know the Sahaba are all udul, they're all just. But after a period of time, the more time went on and we distanced that, the more we moved away from the era of the Prophet ﷺ, the judges, they became fasid. A lot of them would lie, a lot of them would be given bribery, they would be bribed into saying, yes, this has happened or not. So because of that, suddenly they just closed the door off. The Hakim does not give a ruling on the mas'ala that he knows. The Qadi does not give a hukum on the mas'ala that he knows. Simple example. Mathalan, two people come to you and argue and say, listen, he took my land or he did not take my land. He's in my land, he's living in my land, and he's been living there for a year. The one that is living in the land The Qadi knows that his father died and he inherited this land from his father. And they've been neighbors for the past 20 years. Can he say, La, in this case, I know that this person inherited this from his father. His father Muhammad died 20 years ago. You can't come now and say you're taking his land. Can he do that, the judge? No, he can't do that. Why? Because obviously it would lead to a lot of fasad. Then the Shaykh says, Rahimahullah, فَمَنِ ادَّعَى مَالًا. Now he's going into bayinat. He's going into supporting evidences and the different types of testimonies. He says, فَمَنِ ادَّعَى مَالًا. Whoever claims or makes a claim to a mal, to wealth or property or anything like that, وَنَحْوَهُ, or anything that is similar to it. Whoever makes a claim. فَعَلَيْهِ الْبَيِّنَةِ. First and foremost, فَعَلَيْهِ الْبَيِّنَةِ. فَعَلَيْهِ الْبَيِّنَةِ. Upon him is al-bayyinah. Upon him is evidence. He needs to find evidence. Then the Shaykh says, إِمَّا شَاهِدَانِ عَدْلَانِ. Either two just male men. Two just men. Two just men. أو رجل وامرأتان. Or a man and two women. A man and two women. Oh, so first let's go back to where it says إِمَّا شَاهِدَانِ. Put number one on top of there. إِمَّا شَاهِدَانِ عَدْلَانِ واحد. One. The types of witnesses. إِمَّا شَاهِدَانِ عَدْلَانِ. One. أو رَجُلٌ وَامْرَأَتَانِ. Or a man and two women. Put number two. A man and two women. Put number two. أو رَجُلٌ وَيَمِينُ الْمُدَّعِ. Or a man and the oath of the claimant. That is number three. أو رجل ويمين المدعي. Put number three on top of there. لقوله تعالى, due to the statement of Allah جل وعلا, واستشهدوا شهيدين من رجالكم. Call upon two men from your, two witnesses from among you, among the men. فإن لم يكونا رجلين. If there are not two men, if there aren't two men, or if you can't find two men, or even if you can't find two men, would you bring فَرَجُلٌ وَامْرَأَتَانِ. Bring a man وَامْرَأَتَانِ. A man and two women. مِمَّنْ تَنْضَوْنَ مِنَ الشُّهَدَاءِ. From those who you are pleased with. From those that you are pleased with. طيب. Note that the Shaykh says فَمَنِ ادَّعَى مَالًا فَعَلَيْهِ الْبَيِّنَةِ. He says whoever, he needs to bring a bayyinah. According to the fuqaha, al-bayyinah, proof, is only the shuhud. If you hear bayyinah in the books of the fuqaha, they're referring to ash-shuhud, the witnesses. Lakin a lot of the muhaqqiqun from Ahlul Ilm, a lot of the scholars from Ahlul Ilm, who don't specify themselves to one madhab, they say that the bayyinah, kullu ma yabin al-haqq. Everything that makes the haqq clear. It could be papers, it could be oath, it could be witnesses. So it's a lot more general. So you will find مثلا Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, even Shaykh Sa'di rahimahullah in some of his books, saying that al-bayyinah is a lot more general than just having the witnesses. Just having the witnesses. طيب. And shahada means إخبار الصدق في مجلس القضاء بحق للغير على الآخر. It is to give a truthful testimony in the gathering of the judge, in the gathering of qada, where the judgment is taking place, to establish a right for someone else. To establish a right for someone else. Suratul Mas'ala. I go to the mahkamah, and مثلا a man is accused of stealing an item, stealing a phone. And I go to the court and I say, Ashhadu, I bear witness that phone belongs to him. He hasn't stolen it. Or there's a dispute over whether he's married to her or not. They say that she says that he divorced me, and he says, I done raj'a, I took her back. So he brings two witnesses, and those two witnesses say, we bear witness that he took her back straight after divorcing her, or he took her back a month after divorcing her. So that's the meaning of shahada. So with shahada, or with regards to witnesses, the Shaykh is now referring to فَمَنِ ادَّعَى مَالًا, whoever claims mal or property. However, the number of shuhud, the number of witnesses, they differ from different things or different chapters. For example, number one, there are things that you need 4 witnesses. For example, what? Zina. You need 4 witnesses. So you can't say, yeah, but Imam Sa'di said, Imma shahidani adlani. It's wrong for you to say that. Why? Because he says, فَمَنِ ادَّعَى مَالًا, whoever claims mal. So the first is that which you need 4 witnesses. The second is shahidani adlani, 2 just witnesses. 2 just men as a witness. 2 just men as a witness. And that is for wealth and other things that can lead to wealth. As-sulh, for example, hiba, waqf, wasiyah. And I won't mention these because we've already studied them and you know exactly what these terminologies mean. And the third, and also nikah, for example, the Messenger said, La nikah illa biwaliyin wa shahiday adlin. For example, nikah, 2 witnesses. Then rajulun, the third, is rajulun wa mra'atani. Or shahadatu rajulun wa mra'atani. Either 1 man, and the third is 1 man and 2 women. And obviously that is based on the verse that the Shaykh mentions in the matan. And the fourth is shahadatu rajulin wa yaminul mudda'i. Shahadatu rajulin, meaning 1 witness and the oath of the one that is making the claim. 1 witness, 1 man, and the one that is making the claim. The one that is making the claim. Right. The next mas'ala is where the fuqaha mentions, so if you think about it, the Shaykh Sa'di rahimahullah, he mentions that with women, they can only be witnesses in mal. And that is the madhab of a lot of the fuqaha. That is the madhab of a lot of the fuqaha. Lakin, there's other opinions whereby the fuqaha say, the muhaqqiqun from them, that the testimony of the woman is exactly the same as that of the man. In everything. In everything. Whether it's hudud, prescribed punishments, whether it's jinayat, felonies or crime, they can be witnesses. However, 2 women equal to what? 1 man. So for example, let's say the shahada for zina is how many? 4 men. 4 men. If we've got 2 men, how many more women do we need for the testimony to be correct? 4 more women. In place of the 2 men that are missing. Another mas'ala that the scholars talk about is it permissible for women to be witnesses alone? Meaning there's no men. Can they be witnesses alone? Can they be witnesses alone? Have you understood the mas'ala? So here we said that for zina, mathalan, you can have 2 men and 4 women. Because obviously the woman, 2 women equals 1 man's shahada. Lakin can we get only 8 women? That's the mas'ala. First and foremost, for those masail, those issues that only women know of, then the shahada of 1 woman is accepted. Those masail that only women can possibly know of, then the shahada of 1 woman is accepted. Surah al-Masala. For example, Radah. Okay? And this is actually a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, whereby a man got married to another woman. A man married another woman. And whilst he was with his wife, normal, married, another woman came and said, I breastfed both of them. If this woman breastfed both of them, what are they going to be? Ikhwa min al-Radaa. They're brothers in Radaa. Brother and sister from Radaa. Is it permissible for them to marry? La. It is not permissible for them to marry. So the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam took her testimony. Why? Because normally, who are the only ones that know who breastfed who? Women. Men don't know that. Their wives could have breastfed other children. They wouldn't know. Their wives could breastfeed other women. She can visit her cousin's house, her family house, and she could breast the children of her sister. The husband may not know unless she tells him. So for that, we're forced to accept the women of the testimony alone. Lakin, the fuqaha also talk about what if it's something that men can possibly know about as well. Can possibly know about. For example, wealth. Anything to do with wealth. Can we say instead of 2 rajulani adlani, we're going to get 4 niswa? This masala goes to the masala that we just talked about. The khilaf here goes back to the khilaf back then. If we say women can testify in anything and everything, then here we're going to say they can testify in everything and anything. Like in here, if we say, back there, if we said that women can only testify in mal, then here they can't testify in anything but mal. In anything but mal. And their shahada cannot be alone. طيب. Then the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, فإن لم يكن له بينة حلف المدعى عليه وبرئ. حلف المدعى عليه وبرئ. مثلا الآن I've got Ali and Muhammad in front of me. Ali says, Ya Qadi akhadha sayyarati. He took my car. And I say to him, Al-Bayyina, Dalil, what is your evidence? And he brings me something that is not evidence. He gives me a Tesco receipt. Okay, that's not evidence. Give me a receipt. Give me evidence. The Shaykh says, فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ بَيِّنَةٌ. مثلا Ali doesn't have a bayyinah. حَلَفَ الْمُدَّعَى عَلَيْهِ. The one that is being accused, Muhammad here. Who is the defendant here? Muhammad. We say to Muhammad, Ya Muhammad, this person is claiming that you took his property. He doesn't have any evidence. Khalas, just say, Wallahi, I did not take anything from him. Is that understood? That understood, sah? طيب. Now the Shaykh is going to be talking about a mas'ala which is called mas'alatul nukul, which is connected to this last mas'ala. So Ali says, Muhammad stole my car. Or let's say Muhammad, that's Ali here, he says, Muhammad owes me £10,000. And we say, Ali, have you got evidence? Have you got evidence? He says, no, I don't have evidence. What did we say we do? What did the Shaykh say we do? We give it to who? We pass it over to who? So the ball's now in the court of who? The Mudda'a alayhi, Muhammad here. What does Muhammad have to do? Half. Wallahi, I didn't take nothing from him. I don't know what he's talking about. Wallahi, I don't know what he's talking about. What do we do if he does do that? The case is thrown out the window. Khalas. You don't have evidence. He said, Wallahi, khalas. Based on the hadith, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Al-bayyinatu ala al-mudda'i wal-yaminu ala man ankar. Al-bayyinatu ala al-mudda'i. The evidence is upon the claimant. He doesn't have evidence. We apply the second part of the hadith, wal-yaminu ala man ankar. The oath is upon the one that denies this right is upon him. Is that understood? However, what can happen is Muhammad can say, I'm not going to say Wallahi. Why should I say Wallahi? Is that not possible? That is possible. That's why the Shaykh says here, so فَإِن نَكَلَ, right on top of it, مَسْأَلَةُ النُّكُولِ. مَسْأَلَةُ النُّكُولِ. So with mas'alatul nukul, just so you don't get confused, mas'alatul nukul simply means Muhammad, the mudda'a alayhi says, I'm not going to say wallahi. He has to bring evidence. If he doesn't have evidence, I'm not going to say wallahi. Why should I? That is the suratul mas'ala. What do we do here? Is that understood? The Shaykh is going to give us one of two opinions. And then we're going to mention a third opinion as a tafsil which combines the evidences. And the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, فَإِنَّكَ لَعَنِ الْحَلِفِ. If he says, لا والله, I'm not going to say والله. حلف يعني نكل أي امتنع. نكل means امتنع. He says, لا, I'm not going to say والله. خلاص. Why should I? And sometimes you hear people say, I'm not going to say wallahi, I haven't killed anyone. I'm not going to say wallahi. People say that. There's no blood on my hands, why am I going to say wallahi? So, فَإِنَّكَ لَا, if he says, امتنع عن الحلف, he says, لا والله, I'm not going to say wallahi. What do? قُضِيَ عَلَيْهِ بِالنُّكُولِ. We judge based on that and judge against him because he denied the oath. قُضِيَ عَلَيْهِ بِالنُّكُولِ. Is that understood? Why is that? So put قول الأول, قاف 1. Instead of القول الأول, قاف 1. Where it says قُضِيَ عَلَيْهِ بِالنُّكُولِ, put قاف 1. The letter قاف 1. قُضِيَ عَلَيْهِ بِالنُّكُولِ. We judge against him, we rule against him the fact that he's denied it. And we say, listen, since you said wallahi, you denied saying wallahi, you said, I'm not going to say wallahi, خلاص, give him his £10,000 then. Are you with me, the case? Ali said what? Muhammad owes me £10,000. We said to Ali, bayyina, dalil. He goes, I don't have any dalil. I had papers, but I lost them. And this was 10 years ago. We put the ball in the court of who? The mudda'a alayhi, who's Muhammad. We say, Muhammad, all you have to do to get out of this dilemma is to say, wallahi, I did not take 10,000 from him. If he says, wallahi, I didn't take 10,000 from him, what happens? Khalas, case over. What if he says, I'm not going to say wallahi, I don't know him money, I don't owe you nothing. Who's going to force me? I'm not going to say wallahi. What do we do here? The Shaykh says, قُضِيَ عَلَيْهِ بِالنُّكُولِ. We say, since you denied saying wallahi, that means you have to pay him £10,000. Why? Because now, this is a qarina, this is supporting evidence to show that he's denying it for a reason. You can't say someone owes you money and then you say, I'm not going to say wallahi. So that is evidence against him. Is that understood? That is evidence against him. So yes, he was on the bara'a al-asliyah, but he went away from the bara'a al-asliyah and now he is on the side of the defendant. And now he is the one that has to say wallahi in order to defend himself. That's the first qawl. Is that understood? So just by him saying, no, I'm not saying wallahi, we're going to give the hukum. Then the Shaykh says, أو ردت اليمين على المدعي. Put قاف 2. قاف 2. أو, where it says, أو ردت اليمين, that is the second opinion. أو ردت اليمين على المدعي. So مثلا, we say, Ya Muhammad, you're not going to say wallahi, are you? Don't waste my time. You're not going to say wallahi, are you? I'm not going to say wallahi. Right. Ali, say wallahi that he owes you £10,000. Ali says, wallahi, he owes me £10,000. Khalas. قُضِيَ عَلَيْهِ. We say to Muhammad, since he said wallahi, and you refused, you pay him £10,000. Understood? That is the second. Yeah, that's fine. That is the second opinion. And so there's a clear difference between the two, right? Right. Secondly, since the Shaykh rahimahullah mentioned both, what do we see from here? He's saying rahimahullah that the qadi has a choice. The qadi can do this or that. The qadi can do this or that. So these are the two opinions. Who can repeat these two opinions?
So he would rule against the defendant. He doesn't say wallah.
Naam. So in our case, Muhammad says, wallah, I don't know him anything. We rule against him just because he said what? He refused to say wallahi. What's the second opinion? Naam. You say no, not sah. You're not going to say wallahi, khalas. The ball goes back to the court of Ali, the mudda'i, and we say wallahi, he owes you £10,000. What do we do here? If he says wallahi, Ali says it, then khalas, we say to Muhammad, you owe him money. Because there's a qarina here that shows if he really was innocent, he would have said wallahi to free himself. Is that understood? Lakin, there's another way of looking at it, and a lot of the fuqaha, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, they mention, which is that if the knowledge of that issue is specific to the person, the defendant, and he refuses to say wallahi, then we do qada against him. Surah al-Mas'ala. There's only two people in here. There's Ali and Muhammad in this room. None of us are here. Ali leaves his phone. Ali leaves his phone that is working fine. He leaves it on the table. He leaves it on the table. And Ali goes to his car. Who's left in the room? Muhammad. Ali comes back, his phone is smashed against the wall. His phone is smashed against the wall. Ali comes back, says, "You smashed my phone against the wall." Muhammad says, "No, it wasn't me." Muhammad says, "What? It wasn't me." Ali says, "Of course it was you. There's no one else here." He goes, "No, it wasn't me." Here when they come to court, Ali says, "Listen, he broke my phone. He was the only one in the room." Muhammad says, "No, I didn't break his phone." We say to Ali, what? Let's go in order. We say to Ali, al-bayyina, dalil. He doesn't have dalil. Doesn't have a bayyina. Obviously, he didn't put CCTV thinking he's going to break his phone. So he doesn't have evidence. That's out the window. Then we move it over to Muhammad. Yeah, Muhammad, this person is claiming that you broke his phone. If you say, "Wallahi, I did not break his phone," khalas, we'll accept your testimony. And we say to Ali, "We don't know what happened to your phone." And you can't hold Muhammad to account. If Muhammad says, "Wallahi, I did not do it," what happens? Khalas, case is out the window. If Muhammad says, "Wallahi, I didn't do it," like if Muhammad says, "I'm not going to say Wallahi. Why should I say Wallahi? I haven't killed anyone." What do we do here? قُضِيَ عَلَيْهِ بِالنُّكُولِ. We say to him, "You're guilty." Okay, that's one way. We give it back to Ali. طيب, we say to Ali, "Ali, say Wallahi that he broke your phone." Can Ali say, "Wallahi, he broke my phone"? Lesh, why? Because he doesn't know. Ali doesn't know. So in this case, the fuqaha, they say that because Muhammad انفرد بعلم هذا الشيء يقضى عليه. He is given, we judge against him. Because he's the only one that can have knowledge of that thing. He's the only one that can have knowledge of that thing. Because Ali, we can't blame him if he says, "I'm not going to say, Wallahi, I didn't see the guy do it." We can't blame him for that, sah? طيب. Therefore, we say to him, "Listen, since you said no, you're not going to say Wallahi, we're going to judge against you. Because only you could have known who done the damage. No one else could have known. So yuqda alayhi." طيب. What about if it's the opposite? They were all in the room. So there's Ali was in the room, Muhammad was in the room. Ali was in the room, Muhammad was in the room. No doubt, Ali knows who broke his phone. So when Muhammad says, "I'm not going to say Wallahi," we're not going to say, because you refuse to say Wallahi, we're going to give the mas'ala back to Ali. We're not going to say, we're going to judge against you. Why not? Because in this situation, Muhammad is not the only one that has knowledge of this affair. We say, طيب, you refuse to say Wallahi, طيب. Let's go back to the mudda'i, the claimant. Ali, say Wallahi, he broke your phone. In this case, Ali is in the position to say, "Wallahi, he broke my phone." Why? Because he witnessed it. So he can say, "Wallahi, he broke my phone." And then what happens? We give the qada against him. Another example. A man dies. And then someone comes. A man dies. Let's say a person dies. And then Ali comes and says to his inheritors, the people that inherit him, his children, your father owed me 5k. Your father owed me 5k. Who is the mudda'i and who is the mudda'a alayhi here? I want you to tell me. The mudda'i is Ali. Ali is making the claim. The mudda'a alayhi is, or are, the children, the waritha. Ali says, your father owed me how much? 5 grand. Ali says, your father owed me 5 grand. Ali, give me bayina. Ma indi bayina. I don't have bayina. Ages ago, we were good friends. Khalas, I thought it would be embarrassing to write anything down. So I don't have any evidence. طيب. What do we say to these people? What do we say to them? Say wallahi that you don't know of this debt. Technically, can they say wallahi they don't know? No. They can't say because they don't have knowledge of it. They can't make half. They don't know if their father made it or not. Huh? They could, whether they know or not, can they say wallahi we don't know? Wallahi we don't know, that's one thing. Like in terms of admitting that they can't say, well, they can say wallahi I don't know, but can they deny his right? No. They say wallahi up to our knowledge we don't know. But now we have Ali saying, yeah, he did owe me money. So they can't say wallahi he didn't owe you money. They can't say wallahi he didn't owe you money. So we can't say to them, say wallahi. Is that understood? Limada, they don't have ilm of it. They don't have knowledge of it. What do? We take the oath back to Ali. Why can Ali now say, why can we give this testimony back to Ali? Why can we give him opportunities to do half? He knows. He has ilm of it. He knows. He genuinely knows that this person owes him money. Again, that is based on the systematic way of judging. But in terms of the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he could be lying. But in that case, it's worse for him. It is worse for him. So that mas'ala is called النقول. Then the Shaykh says, فَإِذَا حَلَفَ, if he حَلَفَ مَعَ النُّقُولِ الْمُدَّعَ عَلَيْهِ, if he says, Wallahi, Ali now, he says, Wallahi, their father owed me money. مَعَ النُّقُولِ مُدَّعَ عَلَيْهِ, and the children, the waritha, the children that inherit, they said, Wallahi, we don't know, we can't give testimony. Can't say wallahi because we're not 100% sure. The Shaykh says, أَخَذَ مَدَّعَى بِهِ, Ali takes whatever he made the claim of. Is that understood? طيب. And with that you can combine all of the evidences in this mas'ala. وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي